As part of the meeting, the chairman of the NPC Standing Committee, Li Jianshu, is about to deliver the work report. We were just talking with our guests here in the studio about that report, including previews and reviews of the legislative work. We'll listen in together.
Deputies,
today is March the 8th, International Women's Day.
On behalf of the Presidium,
I would like to extend holiday greetings and best wishes to all women representatives, members and staff, to women of all ethnic groups and all walks of life in China, and to women of all countries in the world.
各位代表,
Deputies,
今天的全体会
today's
议
plenary meeting
应出席
has
代表
scheduled attendance of 2,951. Today we have actual attendance of 2,761 with 190 absent. The number of actual attendance up to the requirement. Now the Congress begins. There were 3 items on the agenda for today's plenary meeting. Now we come to the first one on the agenda, to deliberate the work report of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress. Now I invite Chairman Li Jianshu of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress to deliver the report. Fellow deputies, on behalf of the Standing Committee of the 13th National People's Congress, I now present this report on its work for your deliberation. 2021 was a year of milestone significance. The Communist Party of China celebrated the 100th anniversary of its founding and convened the 6th plenary session, and also we summarized the major achievements of the party. We also adopted the 3rd historic resolution of the party. We have won the critical battle against poverty and achieved the first centenary goal. With great historic initiative, the Party Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core acts in a strong sense of responsibility and respond to the pandemic seen in the century and achieve new major progress in advancing all areas of the party and the country's endeavors. It encouraged us to forge ahead on the new journey and make greater contribution in the new era. 2021 was also a year of political importance in the history of the People's Congress system. The Party Central Committee held the first ever Central People's Congress Work Conference. General Secretary Xi Jinping gave important speech, providing profound answers to a number of major theoretical and practical issues concerning the development of socialist democracy with Chinese characteristics and the preservation and improvement of People's Congress system in the new era. He also offered a systematic explanation of the important concept of the whole process, people's democracy. Over the past year, under the strong leadership of the Party Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, the NPC Standing Committee remained closely aligned with the Party Central Committee's major decisions and plans, and people's aspiration for a better life, and the need to modernize China's system and capacity for governance. Also, we embark on a new journey to develop China into a modern socialist nation in all aspects. We have conducted the following work. First, we further improve laws relating to the Constitution and safeguarded its supreme legal status, authority, and force. The implementation of the Constitution demands continuous improvement and the development of relevant laws. We enacted the Supervisory Officers Law. We revised the measures for election of deputies from the Chinese People's Liberation Army to the NPC and local People's Congress at or above the county level. We also drafted and conducted 2 rounds of deliberation on amendments to the organic law of local People's Congress at all levels and the local People's Government at all levels. This also be submitted to this session for further deliberation. We strengthen constitutional order and the rule of law in the special administrative regions based on China's constitution and their basic laws to better ensure that the central government exercise over jurisdiction, that the 2 regions enjoy a high degree of autonomy. We revised the Annex 1 and 2 of the Basic Law of Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. For the revision of these 2 annexes, abide by the principle of patriots governing Hong Kong, and also suited to Hong Kong's legal status and the realities. For the new election law, make sure that the patriots governing Hong Kong, and it fundamentally promoted that Hong Kong SAR's governance can be based on the general implementation of the policy of one country, 2 systems. And it has initiated a new phase of our support for long-term prosperity and stability in Hong Kong and for Hong Kong's integration into China's overall development. As stipulated in the Constitution, we exercise our authority to interpret the Constitution and oversee its implementation. We also review several administrative regulations, supervisory regulations, altogether 1,291 jurisdictions. We also promote localities to revise the local legislation and overturn 1,069 regulations and judicial interpretations. We also try our best to overturn some of the illegal laws. Second, prioritizing the overall work of the party and the country, we move faster to formulate the revised laws and to provide legal safeguards for building a modern socialist nation for all aspects. We will serve high-quality development with high-quality legislation. We formulated the Rural Revitalization Promotion Law, revised the Seed Law, and also revised the Scientific and Technological Progress Law. We also made amendments to the Anti-Monopoly Law, and also we are drafting the law in amendment in the future law. We also formulated the stamp tax law. This means we have now formulated laws on 12 out of the current 18 tax laws. And also, we enacted the law on Hainan Free Trade Ports. We also issued 4 authorizations to make sure that the rule of law can be implemented thoroughly.
加快构建国家安全领域
And also we have to enact relevant legislations to ensure security
起
law,
草并
the
审议
national
通过
security.
陆地国界法
We
制
also
定反
enacted
外国制裁法
the land borders law
健全完
and
善
also the law on
反制
countering
裁
foreign
反干涉
sanctions,
反制长臂管
making
辖
sure
的
that
法
we will
律
respond to foreign sanctions, interference, and the long-arm jurisdiction.
任何国家以任何借口
According
任何
to
方式
this law,
干涉中国内
China
政
has the right to take
损害我
proportional
国国家
countermeasures in
组
response
织
to any
和
country's
个
acts
人利益的
of
行
any
为
form or under any
我国都
presence
有权采
that
取
interfere in
相应
China's
的
internal
反制
affairs
措施
or harm its national
坚
interests
决捍卫
or the
国家
interests
主
of
权
its
安
citizens
全
and
发展利益
organizations, so
坚
that
决
we
保
can
护
better
我国
safeguard
公
the
民组织
national
的合法
security
权益
and also protect the legitimate rights of Chinese citizens.
贯彻习近平强军思想
To implement Xi Jinping's
制
thinking
定
on
军
strengthening
人
the
地位
armed
和权
forces,
益保障法
we formulated the law on protection of the status, rights, and interests of service persons, revised the military service law and the military facilities protection law, and made a decision on temporarily adjusting the application of certain laws during the reform.
加快生态文
We
明领域的立
accelerated
法
legislation on
为
ecological
自然资
conservation,
源和生态
setting
环
a
境保
legal
护
red line for
法定
protecting
法治红线
natural resources and the environment. We formulated the wetland protection law
初次审
and
议
also
黄河保护法草案
the law on
黑土地
noise
保护
pollution.
法草案
We also enact the
加
laws
快
to
补
protect
齐
the
民生保
black
障
land.
法律短板
We are trying
推
to
进强
respond
化
to
公共
people's
卫生
needs
法治保障立法
and
修
also
法
to
工作
address the needs for people's
制定
health
医师法
requirements.
初次审议
We enact
法
the
实
law
践
on
应
medical
对管理法
practitioners
草案
and also
修
law
改
on
教育法
emergency response.
制定家庭教育
We
促进
also
法
enacted the
两
law
次审
on
议职
education.
业教育法修订草案
On 2 times, we made amendments on the occupational education law. We formulated the personal information protection law,
反电信网络诈骗法草
and
案
also we review a law on telecom and online fraud to safeguard citizens' lawful rights and interests online.
起草并初次审议
We drafted
妇女
and
权益
conducted
保
an
障
initial
法
review
修订
of
草案
revisions on the law on protection of women's rights and interests.
侵害处置、救济措施、责任追究等方面
So, in areas such as preventive protection, handling of infringements, assistance measures, etc., we will
完善
improve
刑事
relevant
司法法律制度，
legislation.
确
We
认
improve
司
criminal
法
law
体制改革成
and
果，
affirm achievements in
制
reform
定
of the
反
judicial
有组
system.
织犯罪法，
We formulated the anti-organized crime law and promoted regular institutionalized and lawful action to fight organized crime.
一年来
Over the past
制定
year,
法律
we
实践
formulated 17 laws,
修改法律
revised
22件，
22 laws,
作出有关法律问题和重大问题的决定实践，
and made 10 decisions on legal
正在
issues and
审议
major
的法律
issues.
案19件，
And now we are currently
决
reviewing
定
19
其中
legislative
双边条
proposals.
约和加入国际公约6件。
We rectified 6 bilateral
与
treaties
时
and
俱进
international
完善中
conventions.
国特色社会主义
We
法律
improved
体系
China's socialist legal system in step with the times. We responded to the new development requirement of the party and the
及时
countries
把
in the
党
new
的
era.
主张通
And
过
we
法定程序
translated the party's
转化为国
propositions
家意
into
志
the will
和
of the
人民
state
共同行
and the
动。
collective action of the people.
三、
Third,
强化监督
we
力度和
exercise
实
more
效，
stringent and effective oversight of the lawful performance of the State Council, the National Commission of Supervision, the Supreme People's Court, and the Supreme People's Procuratorate to ensure the full implementation of the Party Central Committee's major decisions and plans.
和制度设计
An
的基本
important
要
principle
求
of the People's Congress system
就是
and
任
a
何
basic
国家机
requirement
关
of
及
its
其工作
institutional
人员的
design is
权
that
利
the power of the all state
都要
organs
受到
and
监督
their
和
staff
制约，
must be subject to oversight
常委
and
会认
constraint.
真履行宪法法律赋予的监督职责。
So we stay
统筹运
committed
用法定监督方
to
式，
exercise our
推动解决
statutory
制约经济
oversight,
社会发展的突出问题和矛盾。
and also we're focusing on the prominent issues impeding China's economic and social development. Our oversight ensure that laws and regulations were effectively implemented, and all state organs perform their duties and carry out their work within the scope prescribed by the Constitution and
监
laws,
察权依法正确行使，
and that the administrative, supervisory, adjudicatory, and the procuration powers can be exercised in accordance with the law.
有效监督，依法监督。
We stay committed to exercise appropriate, effective, and law-based oversight. We heard the deliberated 31 reports, carried out inspections on the implementation of 6 laws, conducted 2 special inquiries, launched 7 research projects, and adopted 1 resolution.
全国人大专门委员会
The NPC special committees and the standing committee working bodies are responsible for the organization and execution of specific
围绕
oversight
常委
work.
会确定的监督项目，特别是12个专项工作报告
This work
和7项
focusing
专
on
题
12
调研
work reports and the 7
专门委
research
员会
projects.
工作委员会
Their work facilitated the implementation of the
推
major
动了党和
strategies
国家重大
task
战略、
and
重大任务
initiatives
重
of
大
the
工作
party
的贯彻
and the
落实
country.
做好预算决算审查监督，听取审议中央决算报告。
Also, we have to examine and oversight the budgets and the final accounts. We work diligently to ensure that they comply with the requirements to implement proactive fiscal policy. We have to deliberate and hear the reports in relates to all of these policies and measures.
查处解决违规返还税收收入、
Also, we need to have to find out all of the
侵占挪用生态环
illegal
保资
and
金等问
fraudulent
题，
practices
保
from the
障
government
财税政
departments.
策落实见
You
效。
have to make sure that all of these fiscal
开
policies
展
can be
预算
implemented
审查监
effectively.
督重点拓展改革和国有资产
Since the
管理
beginning
情
of the
况
current MPC term, the Party Central Committee have ensured its new responsibilities and requirements to carry out reform for
分配
expanding
使用
the
情况
focus
报
of the
告
budgetary examination and
开
oversight
展
of
财政
the
补贴
state-owned
管理
asset
与改
management.
革情况专题调研，
We will conduct special investigations into this matter.
关于国有资产管
For
理
the
情况
fourth
的年度
consecutive
综合
year,
报告
we
和
deliberated
专
the
项
annual
报告
comprehensive report and the special report on the management of the state-owned
关
assets.
于国有自然资源资产管理情况的专项报告，
We also move faster to advance
实
online
现
oversight of the
四
state-owned
大类
assets.
别的国有资产管理情况监督全覆
We
盖，
have covering 4 areas
起到
of
了
the
防
state-owned
治国有
resources
自然
management
资源遭受损害，
to make sure
国
that
有资产
there's
遭
no
到流失的作
damage
用，
of the
修
state-owned
订加
assets.
强经济工作监督的决定，
So also we intensified our
加强对
oversight on
法
the
律实施情
implementation
况的监督，
of the law
坚持依照法定职责
in compliance of our statutory duties, acting within our statutory scope of the authority and following
逐条对照
statutory
法律条
procedures,
文，
we conducted inspections into the implementation of laws on an article-by-article basis.
中医
We
药
inspected the enterprise bankruptcy law, the traditional Chinese medicine law, the animal husbandry law, the law on the prevention and control of the environmental pollution by solid waste, and the notarization law.
加强检察司法工作监督，维护社会公
We
平
sped
正
up
义，
efforts of the supervision of the judicial
开
work
展
to
检
safeguard
察
social
监
fairness
督
and
全覆盖情况
justice.
专题调研，
We conduct special
听取审议
investigations
最
and
高人民
oversight
法
over
院、
all public
最高人民检
areas.
察院有关工作情
We
况的
also
报告，
hear the report from the Procuratorate and the Supreme Court.
支持和
Fourth,
保障代表
We provided
依法律
support
制
and safeguards for deputies to carry out their duties in accordance with
成为
law.
人民当家作主的重要
This
体
is
现。
an important reflection that the deputies are serving as masters of the country.
是代表行使权
Submitting
利，
proposals and suggestions is an important way for deputies to exercise their rights and perform their duties in accordance with the law.
代表提出的
During the fourth
473
session of the 13th
件议案，
MPC, 473 proposals put forward by deputies were properly handled. The 265 suggestions that were raised when the NPC was in session were handled. We have actually troubleshooted a number of substantial issues. We also enhanced our connection with deputies. We invited 156 deputies to liaison with primary level deputies, and more than 200 deputies were invited to investigations, drafting, and reviewing and assessment of legislations. More than 300 deputies were invited to participate in law enforcement, in special investigations, in planning, and also in supervision of budgetary work. We also ensured that good support is provided to the deputies, and altogether more than 1,600 deputies have been invited to collective investigations. 6 collective training sessions were organized, attracting more than 5,000 deputies. When the deputies are performing their responsibilities, they are fully representing the interest of the people, and when the people select us as deputies, then we are truly representing the views of the people. The proposals and suggestions that we submit embodies the views of the people, and they also reflect the advantages of socialist system in China. It also shows that this system is also quite pragmatic. It's the widest, most real and most effective full process people's democracy. According to the general arrangement of the CPC Central Committee, we have implemented the new amended election law. At present, the new round of election at the county and township level of the People's Congress have been basically completed. Fifth, focusing on the general diplomatic tasks of the country and promote the foreign-related work of the NPC. Following the guidance of Xi Jinping's diplomatic thoughts, we have expanded the work models of the NPC for foreign-related works. A total of 127 bilateral video conferences were held, and we have participated in more than 75 virtual international meetings and 21 international calls and 35 offline physical diplomatic activities, and there are also more than 800 exchanges of diplomatic letters. We are following through the consensus reached by the head of state and deepened high-level exchanges. We engaged in communication with the parliaments of more than 64 countries through 132 friendly platforms. We have deepened our cooperation with parliaments of various countries, and they have reinforced their support to China's stance, enhanced their political mutual trust with us, and promoted substantial cooperation in issues related to Tibet, Xinjiang, Hong Kong, Taiwan, the South China Sea, the COVID-19, as well as human rights. We have clarified China's positions on those issues and fought against subversion and other illegal activities. And we remain committed to fighting any of the activities that aim at subverting the socialist system of China. We actively participate in multilateral parliamentary activities and reached a number of multilateral diplomatic achievements demonstrating the characteristics of China. We put people in the center, and we also advocate the concept of a community of shared future for mankind. We safeguarded the national interest of China and also the safe and just international order. We also enhanced international communication of our work. We have actively advocated the Xi Jinping thought of socialism with Chinese characteristics, and leveraging on the practice of the National People's Congress, we have demonstrated the full process people's democracy. And more than 30 primary level deputies have participated in the foreign-related activities of the NPC. They told their stories of exercising state power and serving the interests of the people, and they have truly demonstrated China's past, China's systems, and China's achievements. Sixth, we advanced the whole process people's democracy and intensified self-improvement efforts in line with our fundamental identity. We enhanced theoretical competence. We thoroughly studied, understood, and put into action Xi Jinping's thought on socialism with China's characteristics for a new era, which is a guiding thought for the party and the country to ensure that the work of the NPC moves forward in the right direction. We also implemented the full process people's democracy in our day-to-day work, such as legislation and supervision and the exercise of the NPC power. We also improved the platforms for people to voice their opinions. A total of 22 primary level legislation liaison points have been established, and we have added 12 of that, covering 2/3 of China's provinces. We also established the link for us to accept legal proposals and legislature pieces through the NPC's official websites. We solicit public opinions, and we have altogether gathered opinions of more than 40,000 people. We are also working actively to advance party building and other related work of the NPC. We are strengthening our disciplines and supervision. We are following the 8-point discipline requirement of the CPC Central Committee, fighting against formalism and bureaucracy. In the meantime, we engaged in publicity efforts and theoretical researches. We held the 27th National Conference on local level legislation and exchanged ideas and opinions on practices at the local level in terms of legislation. We spread the practice of the NPC in legislation, and we told the great story of people serving as masters of the country. Over the past year, we can summarize our experience with one point, and that is that we have always followed the guiding principle of the Xi Jinping thought of socialism with China's characteristics in a new era, and we safeguarded the position of General Secretary Xi Jinping as the core of the CPC Central Committee, and also the authority of General Secretary, and also the unified and centralized leadership of him as the core of the CPC Central Committee. And we integrated people serving as the masters of the country and governed by the rule of law. The NPC as a mechanism has served the full process people's democracy and ensured that the NPC mechanism can follow the direction of the CPC Central Committee and ensure that the NPC work can follow the correct path defined by the CPC Central Committee. Dear deputies, in the new year, the NPC will continue following the Xi Jinping thought of socialism with Chinese characteristics for the new era, and we will follow through the spirit of the 19th National Congress of the CPC and follow through the principles of two upholds and make new breakthroughs in foreign-related work and also in the day-to-day management of the NPC and truly improve the quality and level of the NPC work. First, we will thoroughly apply the guiding principles of the 6th plenary session of the 19th Party Central Committee and the Central People's Congress work conferences. And we will follow through the key tasks of the NPC and focus on key tasks of the country and the party, and take the initiative to take up our responsibilities and contribute to high-quality development with the work of the NPC in order to ensure a sound environment for social and economic development. We will continue making great contributions. After the Chinese National Congress of the CPC, we will earnestly get engaged with the learning of the consensus of the meeting. Second, we will use a complete set of institutions to ensure the implementation of the Constitution. We will improve the laws and regulations pertaining to the Constitution, and summarize the experience and achievements of the Constitution over the past 40 years. And we will continue interpreting the major theories and principles of the Constitution. And third, we will make our legislative work more systematic, integrated, and coordinated. And we have the plan to review 40 legislation pieces, and we will improve the legal system of socialist market economy and also improve our legislation in areas of environmental protection, energy, and finance. In the meantime, we are going to build a legal framework for foreign-related work. When the conditions are mature, we will actively draft new laws to guide social and economic development. Fourth, we will earnestly conduct oversights of the implementation of the law and the work performance. We have plans to conduct 32 supervision programs, and we have the plan to supervise the law on rural rejuvenation, and also the law on popularization of science and technology, and also the law on protection of foreign investments. In the meantime, we have plans to supervise the law enforcement of the Yangtze River Ecological Preservation Law. And fifth, we will give full play to the role of the NPC deputies. And we will do a good job in the election of the 14th NPC deputies. NPC deputies will be given better participation into the supervision of their powers, and they will also work in close liaison with primary level deputies. And sixth, we will effectively carry out international exchanges, giving top priority to implementing the major diplomatic outcomes achieved by President Xi Jinping. We will step up exchanges with relevant countries and international and regional parliamentary organizations, and we will fully understand the new and changing international landscape. Seventh, we will strengthen our self-improvement in line with the requirement of upholding the fourfold role of standing committees. Dear deputies, on a new journey ahead, we must unite more closely around the Party Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, strengthen our four awarenesses, reinforce our four confidences, and do a good job in upholding the two principles. And we will uphold and exercise our powers of legislation, oversight, decision-making, and appointment and removal of officials. And we will endeavor to make new contributions to the victory of socialism with Chinese characteristics in a new era and the set the stage for the party's Chinese National Congress.